Are you tired of these politics in California, the lockdowns, the taxes, and this crazy real estate market that is like skyrocketing the prices even higher? Well, if you are, we are talking about living in Boise, Idaho today and what that looks like. So stay tuned. It's Rachel Capil here with Keller Williams. If you want to know what it's like living in the San Francisco Bay Area or leaving the San Francisco Bay Area, this is the channel for you. So smash that like button if you get some value out of this video, and make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you want to know more. Each week we have a video coming out. Quick shout out to those people asking questions. We love it, so keep it coming. All the deets are above here, so you can reach out to us if you have questions. All right, so let's get into this, what it's like living in Boise, Idaho. I'm with my friend Charlotte. She's a realtor out in Boise, Idaho area. She's gonna tell us everything we need to know about living, playing, and having fun, eating, drinking, whatever you wanna do in Boise. So if you're considering Boise and getting out of California, this is gonna be a must watch. So check out this interview. Let's get to it. All right, so hello everyone. This is Rachel with Keller Williams here in the East Bay. I have had so many different people asking me about Boise and how people are relocating from California to Boise. I thought, what a better idea than to get an expert that actually lives in Boise and is working and doing real estate in Boise to answer some questions, to go over all the things that I've been hearing. So I have Charlotte on today, and I'm super excited because she actually lived in the East Bay and relocated to Boise as well. So she'll be able to touch on that. So thank you so much, Charlotte, for being here with us. And I'm just gonna let you kind of go and introduce yourself, and then I'll jump into my questions.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Charlotte. I did actually live in the East Bay for a couple years, and then I moved to the Boise area about, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, and I have loved it. I don't ever anticipate leaving the area. So I love living here. I love everything about it, and I love helping people get here. So I'm glad I could be here on your channel.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited too, because I've actually had a handful of friends move to Boise. So I feel like I need to go up there and visit and check it out. I've gone up a few times, but like not actually when friends lived there. So it'll be fun to see my buddies out there. It's kind of sad for us here in the Bay Area, but I know I hear great things. So I'm excited to jump in and ask you my questions. So the first one I have, which might seem like a kind of a no-brainer, but like, why do you think everyone's choosing Boise out of all the different states? I mean, I feel like a lot of Californians are actually moving to your area. So what do you think the draw is?
Well, I think that with California, you have a lot of some of the same stuff, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The one nice thing that's different people like here is it's a bit slower pace. So with the Bay Area as well as LA, things are very quick. They move fast. There's lots of traffic. I mean, you have to travel a lot, to commute a lot, to get places. Whereas here, it's a more laid back vibe. There are a lot of the same activities around. So we have a lot of, outdoors activities, a lot of, just lots of different stuff to do. So there's that draw. For a long time, and even still now, we're considered pretty affordable in comparison to the nation. So that's a big draw. The commutes are nicer. There's not as much traffic here. So, and then there's a lot of people that are moving for political reasons. Like, they just want to get out of whatever state they're in for political reasons, and so they move here. And not everybody comes for that, but that's one of the other reasons people come. And we're always popping up on top 10 lists all the time. So
I know
that good stuff.
I mean, I can remember when I went there to visit, it was like we were on the Salmon River, I think, or not Salmon. We were on maybe it was the Boise River, and we went water rafting, and there is a lot of stuff in Boise that California has here, but it is kind of a slower pace of life. I mean, there are a lot of people moving there, though. Is it getting busier?
It's definitely seen a lot of growth. And what's really funny is people say, a lot of Californians are coming here. That's probably the biggest exodus that's coming here, but it's actually not true.
Really?
We get a lot of people from Washington. In fact, the National Association of Realtors did a study, and it the state that they're coming from the most is actually Washington. But
Wow.
that being said, a lot of Californians are definitely coming here, and we have seen a lot of growth over the last few years.
Okay, very cool. I know. And the weather, we'll talk about the weather, in a little bit, but let's kind of dive into the areas, because I know I feel like Boise, like growing up where I lived in San Ramon kind of area, I feel like it's kind of similar, because I know there are a couple different towns that are the main towns. So why don't you go over, just those main kind of towns, the top ones that people kind of move to? Because I know Meridian is one of them, right?
Yeah, so we're considered the Treasure Valley, and that consists of Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Star, Kuna, Nampa, Caldwell, and Middleton.
Okay.
And they all kind of have a different feel. Like Boise is our capital of the state. It's the city, right? And there's a downtown, and it's a decent sized downtown. So there's Boise, and then the surrounding areas like inside of Boise, not just downtown. Okay. And then we have Meridian and Eagle, and those ones kind of feel a lot like California. Not just as far as the look and feel, not necessarily attitudes or busyness or things like that. It's just as far as kind of, we have an outdoor shopping center called the Village that people really like to go to, but that is very much, in my experience, a California thing. I love those, right? It's outdoor shopping. It's great.
Like Walnut Creek is one of my favorite cities because it has outdoor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we have Eagle, which is kind of like, if you watched Parks and Rec, we joked around about it a lot when we first moved here, because it's like Eagleton, right? It's like the more expensive, more luxury in a lot of ways. So it's really beautiful, but it's also like twice as expensive as far as housing goes.
Okay, so like maybe Danville, Alamo, kind of Lafayette. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then we have Garden City, which is kind of a really small city that's kind of buried inside of like the North Boise area. It's really small. Then we have Kuna, and that's more of a rural area. It's starting to grow with more subdivisions, but right now it's mostly agriculture and just kind of farmland area. But it's right next to Meridian, so you can kind of, with the subdivisions that are going in there, you can get a lot more like bang for your buck. Okay. And then Nampa, Caldwell, Middleton, Star, those are all very kind of rural areas. Some subdivisions too. I mean, subdivisions are definitely there, but it's definitely more rural feel.
Gotcha. So this is why it's important to talk to somebody that's actually working there and knows the different areas. That's why I love connecting with realtors from other areas, because we have no idea living here in California, but we can.
It's a lot.
It is, and we can make the transfer to you a lot easier, smoother, especially when they have someone there. Because it can be daunting. I mean, I can only imagine, I've never actually myself moved out of the country and bought real estate, but I can imagine if I didn't have someone like you, it would be very scary.
Every single time you move to a new area, I moved from Northern California. I actually grew up in Redding.
Okay.
And then I moved to LA and lived there for 10 something years.
Yeah.
And
different.
It's all very different. Exactly. Yeah. They all have very different feels. So you really need to talk to an expert so you can figure out which area fits your personality best.
Okay. Gotcha. So of those areas, what do you think the middle of the grounds for home pricing is? I know Eagle, I've heard Meridian, like you said, those are kind of the locations I feel like people are moving to in Boise.
Yeah. So Ada County consists of Boise, Eagle, Garden City, Kuna, Meridian, and Star. So most of those cities that I mentioned. And the median home price is $435. Okay. So it's gone up quite a bit in the last couple of years. I
feel like it has too, because my friend that just bought there, she's in Meridian, and she paid I think $600,000. But it's it's a 4-car garage. I don't know why you need 4-car garages, but hey. More power to you. She has a beautiful pantry now.
Oh yeah,
you walk in, but she paid about $600 something for hers, so it is going up. Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate in the double digits every year for the last as long as I've been here. So.
Wow.
It's a lot, but I will say that within each of those areas, right, they're all very different. So their median home prices are very different also. So Boise's average is about $380, or the median home sales price is $380. But Eagle their median home sales price is $605,000. So you can see how
Real quick question. So for those two price ranges, how many square feet are we talking? Just out of curiosity.
Well, that's the whole gamut, right? Like that's all the
Right.
homes that sold for January. So, I mean, it's everything from all the single family homes that are 1 bedroom, 1 bath, all the way up to,
Gotcha.
thousands of square feet. So
it's a range. Because I know my friend, I mean, hers was pretty big. I was just like, wow, it's a lot of square foot. I think hers was like 3,600. So she got hers, I think 6 something. So it's a good size house for sure for that price. So you're definitely getting a lot more bang for your buck.
For sure. Yeah. Like in Kuna, the average sales price is $330,000. But a lot of the thing I'm noticing with Kuna is it's a lot of new construction that makes up that price, and that's just skyrocketing also. So it's really interesting to see the different price ranges.
But you know what though? It's like your dollar, and then we can move into the next question, like cost of living. Your just dollar goes a lot farther. I mean, especially in the value of your home, 100%. But like,
for sure.
Out of curiosity, like I always love to hear this because I know my sister used to live in Colorado, and I remember the parking for like, I think it was all day parking in downtown Colorado was like $5.
That's like nothing though.
It is nothing.
But I guess compared to like San Francisco, I'm sure that's a huge difference.
Like $36 for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
So the cost, I mean, but it's definitely more affordable there in Boise, right?
Yeah, I would say most of it's, the biggest difference obviously is going to be housing, but there is some difference as far as like groceries and gas and things, electricity. That's definitely different, but the biggest difference is that cost of housing. There's a website that I like to use to compare, and it's fairly accurate, but it's on, let me think.
I know I often go to like niche.com, and there's a cost of living one. I forget what it is, but it shows you the breakdown.
Yeah, it's bestplaces.net.
Okay, gotcha.
And it actually tells you pretty good, like if you put in what your salary is currently, so let's say $50,000 in San Francisco, you can actually make under $20,000 and have the same level. But that's $50,000 in one city. That's probably not the average income level, right? Like take that into account. But it definitely, I know the last time I did it was $80,000 for an example, and it dropped it to 25 or something like that. Like it's a pretty big difference, but most of that comes in the form of the housing price difference.
I think especially now during COVID, I mean, I right now the market is absolutely out of control, on fire. I mean, people 150, 200,000 over asking. I just was actually working on a listing, and I've got to tell the client that the house around the corner went for basically 180,000 over asking. So I think you're in good shape.
Yeah, that's not a hard call to make.
I know. We should list tomorrow. But yeah, so I mean, COVID has caused people just want to have more space, and I feel like Boise is such a great opportunity. It is very similar from what I hear to California. I know, and I have so many questions. I could sit here and talk forever, but let's keep going down the list. What about the schooling? How are the schools like in those towns, kind of the primary towns, rated? Are they pretty good? I've heard.
Well, so we do have, regular public schools and charter schools, and I'd say that if you look on usnews.net, it can tell you kind of where we rank as far as across the country. And so I think we're at 26 as far as pre-K through the end of high school, which is kind of like the middle of the road, right? Yeah. But it does rank a little bit higher than California, but those are, overall statewide.
Yeah.
I try to, just because of everybody has different experiences. So you can go and you can get your rating on like greatschools.net, but I will say, or .com, but I will say that everybody that I've talked to, even if they're at a bad school or a good school, it all really depends on like the teacher you get, the administration that you're talking to, the kid themselves. Like it's all so relative. Yeah. But if you look at the ranking overall, we are number 26 in the nation. So
awesome. Yeah, I know California, we're really struggling with schools these days. I feel like the more expensive areas definitely always have the better schools, but it's a school. And Yeah. One of the is actually a good friend of mine. One of the reasons is schooling for them. So obviously a home, they can have a beautiful home and a beautiful life, and schooling was really important. So they're having, they've been there for a little bit and they love it. So it's a good thing. And now onto the things that they love. I mean, what, of course, for me, I love to have the outdoor activities. And I know, like I said, Boise is very, maybe not necessarily so much in the winter. I'm sure you have some ski resorts, but what are some of the fun things to do there that the locals just love doing?
Like everything.
I know, so many. It's like, I might move there.
There's so many different things as far as outdoor activities. We have the green belt, which is like 26 miles of like dirt and paved path. And it runs along for most of it, the Boise River. So you can fish along it, you can run, walk, bike along this 26-ish mile trek. So that's a really popular place to go. But we have our downtown, and it's very clean, and there's all kinds of different stores and really good restaurants. I mean, I will say that even since I've been here, there's been a lot more, it has a lot of very eclectic foods as well. Like, it's a big range. It's not just kind of meat and potatoes, you know?
Of course, yeah. All the people moving there, they've got to make sure they step up some stuff, right?
Exactly. I will say that the food trucks have definitely stepped up their game since we first moved here, which is awesome because those are super fun. Let's see. So there's a lot to do in downtown. We have, the Philharmonic, a Shakespeare's Festival, Jazz Festival, and these are all things that in normal times we have. I don't know with COVID how things have changed a little bit with those, because you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Then there's, the Boise River, which you mentioned, floating down, which is a very popular activity.
Super fun.
And then in the winter, people go up to McCall, which is, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they do this winter carnival, which has got all kinds of winter activities up there. We have our ski resorts. There's all kinds of camping and hiking. There's just a lot of outdoor stuff. There's a lot of art stuff, like I mentioned. And then we have a lot of wineries and breweries. And I will say that I was very surprised by the wineries here in our area. I wasn't prepared for how good they were going to be. And I actually find that I like them a lot better than many of the California wineries. And I went to the Temecula region and the Nampa region. And so it's really, really good. And I was very surprised. So highly recommend that.
No, I know. And it's funny because I love Napa, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Livermore too. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it got a little bit kind of pricey, it's a bit of a trek up there, and you're going to spend, a good amount of money. But hey, I mean, it's just California. You got to pay to play here. But that's amazing. I didn't even know that about Boise. I mean, for me, it was always just outdoor activities, because when I went up there, I was a lot younger, and we would just always go out and do whitewater rafting. I know there was mountain biking, and it was really fun. I just remember having a great time. So
it's a really fun place. You can't go wrong. You'll find something, whatever your thing is. I mean, there's sports here too. We don't have professional sports teams, but the people that are into the local sports are hardcore into the local sports. So we have the Boise Broncos, so football.
Oh, what? That's right. They have Broncos. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm not a big football person.
I don't. Sports for me is not. That's not my jam.
Yeah, my boyfriend's really into that stuff. So he's he would probably know all about the football teams.
Yes.
But yeah, they have the university there too, right? Or it's Boise State?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, in some ways, especially around downtown, it has that college town feel too, which is kind of nice. That's why I think that for a portion of, most of downtown, there's so much to do. It's so close to the university. People just walk down there. Plus the Capitol's right there, and it's really pretty. And so
I know I'm going to switch up my questions a little bit because we're on this topic, but I know when I saw pictures of my friend with the Christmas lights, there was a whole area that was I don't know where it was in Boise, but it was awesome. It was totally lit up, and you could walk around. Maybe it was that greenbelt you were talking about. It was so pretty. And I was so jealous because they weren't on lockdown and we were.
Yeah.
it's just a different world over here in California. So I get it. I mean, I love Boise. I mean, I love California too. It's just, it can be challenging. You have to be able to pay to play. So
Right.
I love to hear that about the wineries, because I assume, and I'm going to jump into this question now, the weather, I mean, how is the winters, because people oftentimes, I'll hear like, oh, it's so cold there. I couldn't imagine, and yes, California has amazing weather. I mean, we're 75 degrees, 70. Right now it's sunshine and gorgeousness. And I just went for a long walk, but it's like, how is it in winter? Is it really that bad? Because I'll be honest, my sister living in Colorado years back, it would get really cold. There would be cold times, but for the most part, it was just a little bit cooler than California, cool enough.
Yeah.
So what's the weather like?
So I will say I love the weather because there's 4 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Like we have all 4 seasons, which is beautiful and fun. Mm-hmm. The summer gets a little warm. Mm-hmm. There's not a big portion, a couple weeks, it's more and more, it gets a little bit hotter for longer. But before, when I first moved here, there was like 2 to 3 weeks in the summer where it got over 100. Okay. And it was in 90 most of the summer, which is not bad.
Yeah, for summer.
Yeah, exactly. I will say lately it seems like there's more days where it's warmer. Over 100, but it's still like 101, 106. Like in Redding where I grew up, it was 118, Yeah, so,
I was going to say, I think it's global warming too. California's getting warmer, obviously, with our fires and everything. Yeah. It's kind of out of control, but that's not that bad, especially when you have the lake. The rivers, exactly. Not the lake, but the rivers, and you've pulled, like, I know my friend at her new place, she has a community pool, so that's really nice to have. So you can, it's manageable. But the winters, are they that bad, or is it?
They're not that bad.
Okay.
The average temperature is between 27 degrees and 41 degrees, and that's not bad, right?
No, because you're talking freezing is like 0, right? I mean, we get to 40s in California. Maybe.
Yeah. So you're going to see snow if it's raining below 32, right? But I'll say we don't get that much snow. The average snowfall in winter is about 5 inches. And usually what happens is you'll get a little bit of dusting, maybe an inch, and then it'll, melt away before the next storm comes in. Okay. So you don't get that accumulation where you're shoveling your driveway all the time, right? I will say that one of the first years we were here, there was a snowmageddon where it did accumulate, and it was like people were stuck in their subdivisions and couldn't get out because they just weren't prepared for it. So overall, I say it's a very mild winter. Even when it's 27, you're going to wear a puffy coat and some mittens, maybe an extra layer or two, and you're going to be good. During that, I think it was the year before the snowmageddon, it got down to like 6 degrees, and that's like the lowest I've seen. But that's not so bad. Not so bad.
And it lasts till what? Maybe like end of January, February?
February, March. They don't actually open like the farmers markets and stuff until April, so it does have to warm up a little bit. But yeah, right now I think it was 40. It's been 40 most of the last couple of weeks. For the most part. So
I think that's the big draw. I think of Californians, like the fact of shoveling snow. For Californians is like, oh God, it's super tough. I think that's one of the reasons why it's really not that bad from what I hear. I mean,
no, it's not.
I'm not saying everyone leave California, but hey, if you're going to leave, I'm happy to connect you to a fantastic realtor. They can help you. I mean, it just can't be as bad as some people make it out to be. But let's talk about now, because I've heard people, let's talk about the traffic, and then we can talk about, how far it is from California and some things that you're seeing, because I can tell you a couple things I've seen. But let's talk about the traffic and like, can people actually drive in the snow, or do they become like totally incapacitated and not able to, like when it rains here? Everyone stops.
So funny. I will say the traffic is probably, because there's been so much growth, the cities are going through a lot of construction to try to keep up, right?
Yeah, a lot of growth.
They have things planned out so that they can keep up with that growth. But with that being said, there's constantly construction in downtown as well as on major streets in most of the cities. So you do encounter traffic, but if you're driving downtown, you're primarily going to have traffic during peak hours, and occasionally, if there's an accident or whatever, in off-peak. But typically, it's just going to be in peak hours, and it's not like in LA, it was like a 3 or 4 hour stretch, right? Where it's peak hours. And here, it's not like that. Like, where there's a major interchange with the I-84 and I-184, you will see some back-to-back, stop and go traffic during peak hours. But overall, it's just slower. It still moves. It's just slower. And there are some traffic issues on some of the major thoroughfares. Like there's this road called Eagle Road, and it's one of the main exits off of the highway or the freeway, and it gets backed up during those peak hours too. So a lot of the people that live here will say avoid that at all costs during peak hours.
I mean, hey, look, it's 10 times better than when I remember before COVID. It was just, oh my God, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Traffic would start at 2, and I'm like, it used to be 3:30, it used to be 4:30, and then it moved to 3:30, and then it was 2:30. I'm like, well, these kids are still in school. Why is it starting at 2:30?
Driving.
and no matter where you go, it was always so bad.
Yeah.
So look, I would take it in a heartbeat, because now it's better with COVID, because people are they're moving out of San Francisco. People are working more remotely, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, going to Brentwood, you see the traffic starting at 3:30. We're back to 3:30. We're not at 2:30 because the kids aren't in school anymore. They're all virtual because we're still locked down. I feel like we're still in prison land. But it is starting to back up again, regardless of if people are in remotely working. So that's a really nice feature to have, is just during peak hours, you get those little pockets of congestion. So
yeah. Well, even at that, the length of the commute is not that long, right? It's from Kuna to downtown can take 30 minutes, 45 minutes if it's really bad traffic, right? But if it's not bad traffic, it's not going to take you 30 minutes to get downtown. So I think that makes a huge difference too, is there is traffic and it's during those peak hours, but even to get places from one city to the next, it's not that long. Whereas, if you're trying to get from one side of, San Francisco to the East Bay, obviously it's going to be ridiculous.
I mean, it's gone better 100%, but there are some people that live in Brentwood, and I'm like, I don't know how people do that. I live in Pleasant Hill, so it's kind of in the middle, of everything.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go to San Francisco other for when my kid has modeling jobs.
Nice.
I know, he's so weird. He's a kid model. But anywho, let's talk about the commute to California, because I've actually heard people living in Boise, working here. Do you find that happens a lot to people?
I don't think it happens a lot, but I do think that there are, for example, I've heard several different stories of LA firefighters that actually live here, but they commute down to LA for work, right? I will say that we live here. My husband, before COVID, would fly to California, to the Bay Area, as well as LA and Orange County, once or twice a month for his job. So it's not uncommon. It's probably happening more and more now, because there's more and more people that are able to work remotely, right?
Yep.
But so to drive from, say, the East Bay to here is about 9.5, 10 hours.
Okay, not too bad.
So it's doable. When we moved here, we took a stop halfway and stayed the night and split it up a little bit. But the flight is about an hour and a half to the Bay Area. So it's really not that long. And the flights to say Seattle or Portland for weekend trips and stuff, those are also really reasonable. And the airport's not huge. It's a decent size, so you can get in and out really quickly. And do those trips. So
it's almost like going down to LA. You know what I mean? LA is what you just hop on Southwest, and it's a 45 less than an hour flight. So that's. Hey, I see. It's funny. I have another friend that I feel literally she has a house at Eagle. Actually, this is a different friend. She actually commutes back and forth. That's how I know about that people do. So
it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. I mean, Man, it just depends on what you want. But hey, I think, you know, I mean, I'm a California native. I love it here. But I think, honestly, if I had to pick everywhere, you know, I would probably say Boise would be my top choice because I literally have like 5 friends there. And it's so close. I could just hop on an airplane. And so people, if you're wondering, like, I don't know if I want to live in California anymore. We gave you a ton of reasons why Boise is like such a great place to be. And you now know who you can contact to help with that transition if you have questions. I know Charlotte has, I'm going to have all your details below, but why don't you go ahead and talk about how they can connect with you?
So you can connect with me either by my cell phone, which I'll have in the comments below. I will also give you my link, Rachel, for my relocation guide, which has a bunch of information on all the different areas and all the different things to do around here. So you can grab that. And you can also find me on Instagram at the Charlotte Jean, spelled Jean. And then also on Facebook on Birch and Cedar Realty Group. So I'll give you all those links and you can put them in there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have everything down below. And like we said earlier, I mean, it can be a daunting process moving and getting your house ready to sell. I can tell you, because I'm in the market every day right now, start selling your house tomorrow. Call me. I can help you.
Yes.
Because you will get top dollar. I guarantee it. I'd actually put my blood on it. Like, you will get top dollar right now, but like, you might not want to wait too long. And obviously Boise is like very, 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 very close to California in climate, temperament, and they even apparently we now have better wine than we do. And it's probably more affordable. I mean, to be quite honest, you know, at a certain point in time, wine just tastes the same. So we know that we have a great place to relocate, and you know you have a team that's going to help you. Trust me, my friend did it recently, and she had a family member that was an agent, so I couldn't help her, but they could not have done what they did without that person. So you need someone on the ground helping you out, transitioning you, telling you all the different vendors to use. So we're there for you. We're happy to help, and we hope you get a lot of value out of this. So Charlotte, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I look forward to working with you and visiting you when I come up there next.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I'll see you in the next video. All right. So there you have it. All of the stuff that you're going to need to make a decision to leave California and move on out to Boise. If you have more questions, give us a shout. I have Charlotte's YouTube channel and her details below. I'm happy to help out. If you want to know more about getting out of here and selling your property and moving on over to Boise, we can help with that. So just click all the details down below, reach out, ask us those questions, and we get you covered. In the meantime, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.